Welcome to our 5 on 5. I'm joined today by U.S. Representative Cliff Bentz joining me in studio. Congressman, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks for the opportunity.
So I want to start with the vote for the creation of a bipartisan commission to study the deadly January 6th insurrection. You voted for the commission, bucking most of your party's leadership and former President Trump. Why is that?
So, Craig, most people don't know we actually had voted on a very similar, almost identical bill all Republicans had on January 12th and January 13th. We voted twice. All of us voted for that bill. So this was the third time we had pretty much the same bill appear before us, and I voted again just as I had earlier. The bill is necessary, the commission is necessary if we're going to figure out who's to blame, if you will, for the lack of security that was in place that day. The Capitol Police did their very, very best, but it was obvious the folks who are in charge of the building, and that would be Speaker Pelosi primarily, weren't ready, and they should have been. And we need to look into that carefully, and so we can protect the folks in the building and the police that are trying to protect us.
I know you're big on due process. We talked about that when we talked about this several months ago. Where do we go from here? Should a push into an investigation here continue?
Well, the commission's job is to look at what happened on January 6th and hopefully decide how to make sure it doesn't happen again. So that's where I think it's going to go. There's a time limit on the commission. It's supposed to end in December. We'll see now what happens. That bill is I think, not going to pass. And so we'll see what the Democrats do. It's too bad because the Democrats, whatever the outcome is going to be biased. And we've missed a chance to try to actually bring out the facts on what caused the event.
On May 12th, Klamath Project farmers were told by the Bureau of Reclamation that there wasn't enough water in Upper Klamath Lake to open the A Canal during the 2021 irrigation season. First time that's ever happened, leaving thousands of irrigators without water. What is being done to help them?
Well, I have now spoken twice with the Secretary of the Interior, Secretary Holland, asking that she please try to allocate at least a portion of that water that's in the lake to the farmers. I've met with many different people in efforts to try to figure out how to find money to offset at least a portion of the damages. We've been successful in getting the Bureau of Reclamation to put up $15 million, which is a fraction of what's necessary. We hope to obtain more. Congressman LaMalfa and I are bringing a bill to ask for $57 million in addition to that 15, which we hope we'll be able to successful in obtaining. We're asking others in the basin how they've been hurt. We perhaps will be adding them into the bill. So we've also, since I'm ranking member on the Water and Oceans and Wildlife Subcommittee of Natural Resources, we've held now 2 hearings, one just all Republicans, the other both Republicans and Democrats, and we've addressed this drought issue nationwide, if you will. And then also my first appearance, my first speech on the floor of the U.S. House was all about the Klamath and the incredible challenge the drought presents to all of us.
What is the status of the bill now, and do you believe it'll have enough support from Democrats to get through Congress?
So the status of the bill is it's still being crafted, and we're still talking to some of the tribes about what they would like to see in it, the Yurok specifically. And we've also reached out to other people in the basin and asked what they need. So the bill is still in the drafting process. As far as Democrats supporting it, I think they ultimately will. This drought affects 70 million people across the western United States. There's going to have to be much more attention paid to it, and I'm very happy to have been in a position to bring it to the attention of the nation.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll have much more with Congressman Bentz in a moment. Stay with us. Welcome back to our 5 on 5. Again, we're here with U.S. Representative Cliff Bentz. Congressman, the courts have ruled that the Klamath tribes have senior water rights to the lake to sustain endangered fish. You're an attorney, and I know you're familiar with Eastern Oregon, both at the state level and federal level. Do farmers have any legal grounds to pursue this in the courts?
Well, the question is who actually has the right to the water that's stored in the lake, and that issue is actually before a court in Northern California, but it won't be decided until after this irrigation season is over. And I think the word the tribes have water rights, that phrase is not quite right. The ESA has a claim to the water. It's not really a water right in the context of Oregon water law. Under Oregon water law, the water belongs to the farmers. It's the fact that the Endangered Species Act, a federal law, imposes an obligation upon the federal government to obtain that water and use it for endangered species. The Endangered Species Act is not balanced. It should be. If it was, we'd be seeing both the fish and the farmers get some water.
A couple Klamath County farmers with personal ties to Emmett Bundy have told the media they plan to break in and force the A Canal head gates open. What's your advice for them? Well,
my advice is don't. The challenge is now not to prove that the water belongs to any one group. The challenge is to find the money to get to that community to try to offset the damage they're going to sustain. And we have to follow the law, the federal law as interpreted by the Bureau, and I may not agree with that interpretation, but nonetheless, they're in charge of enforcing the law, and we don't want to be breaking the law. What we want to be doing is working together as a group in that basin. Together we're stronger. You've all heard it a million times, and we need to be doing everything we can, which we've been doing, to try to obtain money to offset some of this damage. This is a hugely challenging situation. I don't blame people for being incredibly frustrated, but we don't want to break the law.
The group says Emmett Bundy's coming to Klamath Falls soon. Are you at all concerned this could turn into a similar situation like we saw in your old district when you were a state legislator in Malheur County several years ago?
Well, I hope not, and I'm thinking there's many people across the basin who have spoken up and said don't use self-help. Let's keep working through Congress to try to find support for the money to help offset the damage so many people are going to suffer, and the damages to people with domestic wells, the damages with the farmers, the damages to the tribes. There's not enough water for any of these purposes. So let's work on trying to get the money to offset the damage.
We could spend 20 minutes alone on this topic. I do want to ask you about infrastructure. It doesn't appear Democrats and Republicans are finding common ground on a bill regarding infrastructure. Do you have a number in mind that you can support, or are you in wait-and-see mode right now?
I'm in a wait-and-see mode, but I haven't given up hope on the negotiations. They're still working at it, and let's hope they can come together on something that's so important to our nation.
Congressman, we appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
No, thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.